Hi everyone, I'm Scott Schneider. This is Stereo Niche. Hey, this week I'm starting a series on ADS. It's a line that many have requested, so stick around. So this is the L810. Now the L810 was the middle of the series from ADS, which started off around the mid-70s, around 75, and the entire model line included the L710, the L810, and then the large 910. So it ran from 75 to around 81, and there were some small modifications, but for the most part, they stayed unchanged. They have, it's a three-way, even though it has dual woofers, it's a three-way. It has a, let's see, had an MSRP of around $650, so about twice as much as the Advent. It is a 4 ohm speaker, whereas the Advent's an 8 ohm, and it has a sensitivity of 88 decibels, whereas the Advent is 89. So a couple of sort of Advent features, the dome, mid-range, and tweeter were a bit unique, and they have a sticky coating on them. So you don't want to touch them, which you don't want to do that in general for your drivers, but these you don't want to do that. You also don't want to run them grillless. That sticky coating on there, once dust gets on it, it doesn't come off. So, and it's not something you can clean off really. So just keep the grills on. This set I bought from the original owner with the original boxes, and I don't think he or she ever took the grills off. I believe this is the first time they've ever been off. So I don't see a speck of dust on here. So as soon as this video is done, I will be putting the grills back on. The other thing to denote is that all except for the very early series of the 710, ADS always used rubber surrounds. I don't believe even of later models. I think they always had rubber surrounds, which is a great feature. So you really don't have to worry about getting those repaired along the way. They all pretty much had a very nice walnut real veneer. Don't think they ever had any models that had anything less than that. So sort of a nice cabinetry that was for every model that they had in the series and for future series as well. This one you'll see in the upshots, it has some push-in binding posts on it. Only thing there that to denote is that it's kind of a small hole. So you can't really put a heavy gauge wire in it. You have to sort of get some of the little binding posts. I use the ones that have a sort of a gold plated prong, and that's sort of the best way I think to attach them. So that's pretty much it. I'll do some up close video and show you some shots now, and then I'll come back at the end and give you my review. All right, well, hope you enjoyed the up-close shots there. Time to do a little bit of a review. So I had them set up. Obviously, this is in the same place, so I did the review earlier. So I do an A/B back and forth with the Advent, which is my baseline speaker, and then I compare it to the Advent and then give it a point rating for different areas. So I'm going to walk through that now. So I start off with the style, and footprint-wise, volume-wise, it's almost about the same size as the Advent. So no real difference there. What is different is that it's more of a subdued image, right? So the black grill doesn't make it stand out whatsoever. It's more subdued. It'll certainly blend into a room, not as obvious, doesn't have features that sort of make it stand out. That the Advent, obviously a little more visual. I think it has a little more style. So not a huge difference, but I did decrease the L810 by a point. I gave it 12 points, whereas the Advent gets 13 on that side of the equation. Now, onto the imaging. So this is where the ADS sets itself apart. The dome, tweeter, and mid-range definitely create a heck of a great soundstage, and that's what makes these a very nice speaker. So it's just more full. I'm going to use this word. I kind of have themes I found for different things, and these I found are sort of what I call beefier. There's just more there. It's, as someone asked me recently to start talking about dynamics. Definitely has more dynamics for it. Now, it's just a fuller sound, definitely a much wider soundstage and taller soundstage. And it feels more balanced in a way. So it gets more points for that, of course. The Advent has a 13. These get a 16 on the imaging and soundstage side of things. So just that always adds a more pleasant experience to everything else. So soundstage, if it has a good soundstage, everything else sort of tends to follow suit and be a little more pleasing. So on to the lows. Again, it's about the same size volume. It's a sealed enclosure. There's no boominess. It's very controlled, and it's very similar to the Advent here. So Advent does a very, very good job. Has a single larger woofer compared to the duals here, but overall I didn't sense a great difference in what they can output. So they ended up getting the same score to 14. Into the mids. So the mids, again, because of the imaging, the mids were, again, beefier. It's a sort of a, I don't know, it's just a calming, soothing, sort of nuanced blending. Everything sort of just comes together. And I just felt relaxed when I heard singers. They're still pronounced, they're still out front. That larger soundstage, definite separation of instruments, and it's just nice. It's just very nice. There's that sort of laid back sense that you get. It's not too laid back, but it's sort of soothing in a way, and it just does a great job at it. So I gave it a 17 on the mids versus a 16 for the Advent. Now the Advent, as a reminder, if you haven't seen prior videos, it's a two-way speaker. It doesn't have a dedicated mid-range, but does a great job, with the mid-range sound. But the ADS does a great job here, and it just comes together moving into the highs. So the highs, there's just no brightness. It's not dull, but it just does such a great job blending in with that mid that you just don't feel like it's two different drivers. It just definitely feels pretty seamless. And all of anything that you would want to listen to has that high end that you're looking for, but in no fatiguing way. It's just, again, smooth, and it just blends in with everything else. It's the dome, tweeter, and mid-range, which came from Braun originally, work extremely well, and I find them extremely pleasing. So for that, I ended up giving the ADS L810 another point on the highs because it's just such an enjoyable experience. Now, so in total, for all points, all different areas, they came out at a 76. And I just want to point that out because if you go look at a prior review and you'll look at sort of the, so say the NS1000M, I think it was a 77. So you have to sort of, if you're looking to understand what might appeal to you, that is a brighter speaker. So there are features of it that, you know, it leans bright, and I'm going to try and make sure everyone realizes that. This is a sort of a smoother, calming experience from my perspective. And it's the sound profile that I prefer. So for me, this is a juicy steak, whereas the NS1000 is a bright, bubbly champagne, if you will. Both of those can be great experiences, but most people, I think, sometimes have a preference for one or the other. My preference is on the juicy steak side of the equation. And, you know, for me, this is a speaker that I kind of prefer. This is the sort of sound quality voicing that I just prefer over others. So that's it. It's a great speaker. I think if that's if you like an Advent, this is sort of just a heftier, a beefier experience from the Advent. Similar but different. And if you want more soundstage, these will definitely do it, and everything else that comes along with it. So that's it for this. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to make sure you don't miss future videos, hit that subscribe, and if you want to get notified, hit that notification. And keep a lookout. Next up will be probably the L710, maybe the 910, but those are upcoming, as well as some others. But on the speaker side, it's going to be ADS for the next couple of reviews. So see you soon.